What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So today we are going to be discussing the newly released SMG, which is called the OTS9. So the new OTS9 SMG is quite a spectacle, to say the least. And that's mainly because, some of the attachments are, far different from what I was expecting. In reality, when I was testing it in the training room prior to, the season starting, I was expecting this to kind of like perform poorly, and based on what I've been seeing on the test servers and just on preview videos, it didn't look like it was really that great until I actually started using it myself. And that's probably because I was basing it off of how I thought it would perform, like how it did in Cold War, because in Cold War the gun is a lot more different, but at the same time it was very similar to the MP5. If anything, it was probably a better version of the MP5 in that game. So one of the key differences between the OTS here and the OTS in Cold War is the fact that the OTS in Cold War has a lot more vertical recoil than what we actually have here with our version of the OTS. Also, of course, the attachments are a little bit different. They still act the same as they would. The Task Force still gives you more recoil. The Reinforced Heavy gives you more range and some bullet speed. But this time around, I feel like the VDV Reinforced Barrel might actually have the upper hand this time around. Usually it's always the Task Force Barrel that has like the better bullet speed and everything, but surprisingly this time around at least, the VDV Reinforced Barrel is actually the way to go with this one. See, the bullet speed values that it does give you on the Task Force is only by like 30%, but for the VDV it's 40%, so that is kind of crazy to think about, since most Task Force usually provide a lot more bullet velocity. So now, discussing the features of the gun itself, it's a lot more stable than it is in Cold War. It basically has no recoil no matter what you put on it, with the exception of the Task Force, and even then it's not really by a massive amount. If anything, you never really have to run a grip unless you want a little bit more speed with the Striker foregrip or maybe the Patrol foregrip. But as for the other ones, like the Field Agent or even the Black Ops foregrip, you're not really ever gonna really use it unless you're using maybe the Task Force. But of course, if you think of those two barrels together, they do have very, very close stats to one another. The only difference is the downsides they provide. So for the VDV, it kind of like takes the place of the Reinforced Heavy, which basically, of course, slows down your movement, sprint speed, as well as your ADS movement speed by a lot. But if you decide to use the Task Force barrel, you're going to suffer the cost of your recoil control. So it's kind of like one of those pick your poison kind of situations, like which is the lesser of two evils. So as for the other attachments, there's nothing really to look into with the exception of like maybe one, which is actually the combat stock. This is something that I wasn't actually expecting with a Black Ops weapon, but the combat stock with this gun actually does increase your ADS speed by 10%. I did not know that. Usually when you do have different stocks, they usually just increase your movement speed or your ADS movement speed, and have some costs with sprint to fire or even hip fire issues. But other than that, I've never seen a combat stock that gives you more ADS speed other than maybe the Crick 6. That's mainly because we do have grip tapes that give you like 25 to like 30% more ADS time. So I guess this time around they didn't see it like fitting to have, even more ADS time. Well, I guess not in the case of the OTS, since it does have that combat stock, but you guys get what I mean. So as for the other attachments, it's the same stuff. The firm Russell grip tape, the lasers, the magazines. The magazine's a little bit weird. It kind of annoyed me a bit because of one of them specifically, which is the 32 round fast extended mag B. That's something that kind of annoyed me, and that's mainly because the extended mag, or I guess the regular one, gives you 40, but this fast extended mag B gives you only 32, but it does increase your reload speed. But given that the downsides are about 25% ADS time, which basically cancels out the firm grip tape, it just kind of seems unnecessary. I wouldn't have minded if it was up to like 40 bullets, but only 32 is, I don't know, I think that's too serious of a punishment. So now we move on to the Camo Challenges. So as per usual, it has 80 headshot challenges, reptile challenges where you get like kills with no attachments, and then you have a full attachment challenge, all that stuff. Most of them aren't really that hard. I'll probably say that the easiest one to do outside of just getting kills with attachments and no attachments is probably the hip fire. So that's one huge positive thing that I do have to say about the OTS9. The hip fire on this weapon, with or without a laser, is absolutely insane. It's almost to the point where it doesn't miss a shot from like almost a mile away, if you do have that green laser at the very least. And I would say this competes, if not, it's actually better than the cordite. Me and my friend are constantly discussing whether or not the hipfire for this thing is better than the cordite, because, you know, the cordite's usually probably one of the best SMGs, if not the best, usually when it comes to hipfires. If you don't count the Fennec, you know, the Akimbo version at least, like the cordite's usually very well known for its hipfire, but this one might actually challenge it pretty well. But yeah, getting hipfires is definitely not going to be a problem. You need 75, again, not much of an issue if you just go to a good map. As for the harder challenge, I would probably say it probably belongs to the headshot. So, unlike most rifles, or I guess most weapons that get released nowadays, they usually have that 3-shot kill potential when you do land a few shots to the head. That's not really the case with the OTS9, because even if you do shoot in the head, no matter how close you are, it's always going to be a 4-shot kill. So it does make it a little bit harder to land those headshots. I mean, it took me a few, I guess maybe several games to get the headshots done. And even though it was just like an 80 requirement, I mean, I was going against other like real players as well. So yeah, I would say the headshot challenges are pretty hard to do, specifically because this gun has just no 3-shot potential. Long shots aren't really that hard at all. I mean, you're just gonna get it done naturally. It's like, you know, the long shots in this game are extremely generous. So like, I mean, you being like 5 feet away from an enemy usually it's usually considered to be a long shot, so it doesn't even matter. You should be able to finish all the sand camo challenges like once you finished everything else. So you should be fine getting gold right away once you finish those headshots. So as of right now, this is the current build that I do have with the OTS9. I mean, it's kind of like a given at this point, but just saying, it's subject to change when the diamond video comes out, because of course this is just shipment, but you know, going to longer range maps like Shoot House or, you know, let's say Crossfire, I'm probably gonna have to use something else. So yeah, keep that in mind. This is mainly just a shipment build. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe for some more Camo content, and I'll see you guys next time.